Hi, my name is Kate, and I am on week 42 of long COVID. And today I want to talk about disabled parking passes and mobility aids. So this week at my occupational therapy session, where I work with my occupational therapist around some of the cognitive issues that have come about for me because of long COVID, also some vision issues, and then just like how to make my life work now, which I'm really grateful that I have someone who can help me with that because I don't know what I'm doing. And we were talking about kind of me being back at work and the challenge of needing to respond to emergencies. So for me, as a parish priest in the Episcopal Church, sometimes I'll get a call that a parishioner of mine is in the hospital and that I need to go right then. And, I can have perfectly planned my spoon allocation for the day, and all of that necessarily goes out the window when it comes to emergency response, where I need to drive to the hospital. I need to park in the hospital parking lot, which, of course, all available parking spots are inevitably across the whole lot, and then get to the hospital, navigate the hospital, which is just a warren of hallways, and then have a super intense conversation with a parishioner and family about what's going on for them. Usually it's a moment of crisis. And then after that, make my way back through the hospital, get back through the parking lot, and get home. And that has gone about as well as you might expect. When that has happened, typically, I'm going to need to throw all other plans out the window and have the next day or 2 days, sometimes 3 days, depending on how things are going, be rest days. So it makes it really difficult to plan. And it's one of the most important things that I do, be there for people in crisis. So I was talking to my occupational therapist about this, and she said, what if you didn't have to walk across the whole parking lot? I said, well, how would that work? There's never any parking. She's like, well, you could get a temporary disabled parking pass. And I just kind of blinked. And I looked at her. I was like, oh, those exist. I always sort of assumed that when you had a disability that someone handed you a form and was like, here's all of the services that you qualify for. No, they don't. But sometimes you have a wonderful occupational therapist who's like, you should maybe not walk across the parking lot. Oh, that sounds better. Yes. So I'm in the process of getting that temporary disabled parking pass. I mailed in my forms, and hopefully I'll be getting it back in the mail now that I've got my doctor's signature in the next few weeks. And that'll be a wonderful tool. I'm really excited for that. And then the other thing that came up was ramping up my mobility aid use. So if you've been hanging out with me for a little while, you might know that I have a cane stool, my magical transformer of a mobility aid that is both a cane and a 3-legged stool, and it's just been great. But one of the big challenges is there's a lot of things that I want to do that I can't, which has been true for the last 42 weeks. But especially now being back at work and, in some ways doing a lot better. This new medication combination is working pretty well. But still, I have between 1,000 to 4,000 steps a day that I have to work with. And that's not counting emotional or mental exertion, which also takes its toll. So if it's a day of a lot of emotional stress or mental exertion, I'm going to have fewer steps that I can work with. And then on my very best day, I have 4,000 steps. And, it used to be that I would walk a minimum of 10,000 steps every day before I got sick. So it's not quite as many steps as I used to have to work with. And there's still so many things that I want to do. I would love to like go for more walks or go to a museum or be able to go to a concert or live my life and not feel quite so stuck in the four walls of my house. There's so many things that I would love to experience, and I don't want to spend all of my mid-30s just waiting to be better. So my occupational therapist recommended thinking about a mobility scooter or a power chair, an electric wheelchair. And that, of course, sets off all of my like internalized ableism alarm bells. But when I think about it, by having a wheelchair, I can still get my 1,000 to 4,000 steps, but I can also do other things. It means that like when I want to go for a walk with my husband and my dog, I can. And it doesn't have to be this huge expenditure of spoons where it's like, okay, this is one of the 2 things that I can do today. What if leaving the house didn't have to be so hard? That sounds really nice. So I'm thinking about it. I've been looking into these really neat folding mobility power chairs. They're like 35 pounds. You can take them on airplanes for whenever I'm eventually cleared to fly. And I don't necessarily think that I'll need one forever. But if it's going to take me another year to be able to move around more, I don't want to just spend that time waiting. So that's kind of where I'm at on this Sunday night, in this place of discernment. And it kind of feels like, especially as we're coming back around to winter and coming up on the 1-year anniversary of my acute COVID and entry into this strange world of disability. For me, I'm thinking really actively about, okay, I've made it through the first year. What does the next year look like? And rather than just, like, okay, I want to be 100%. Like, okay, that's a good goal, but that's probably going to take a while. So what now? And that question is hard, but it's also getting me excited and helping me dream about what could be possible even now. Yes, I have limitations, but there's also some really incredible tools, both sort of external assistance like a disabled parking pass or a mobility aid, and also sort of continuing to work on the internal stuff of healing. So from my long COVID journey to yours, from my place of discernment and wondering to yours, I hope that you are having a good night. Take good care, everybody.